So this may be the worst art book in the entire world. It's 300, The Art of the Film, published by Dark Horse, who do some really crappy books based on some really great properties, and this book is one of them. So the book has a slightly wider format, sort of a bit more widescreen format than most art books, which is, there are advantages and disadvantages to that, but usually it's used. When it's used to great effect, it's because you can see these big cinematic images, but it does sort of make the book harder to hold, and the pages come out a lot easier, and all that stuff. This book is very thin. It's only about 120 pages, which is very small for an art book, and they use their very few but large pages completely ineffectively. I mean, I don't even want to spoil how bad some of the page layout for this book is. I just want you to see it and gawk in amazement that someone could think that this book was a good idea. So, ready for this? This next page represents pretty much what the whole book is going to be. Can you believe it? An entire huge page dedicated to 3 storyboards that are not even really that good, and then a picture from the finished film. And there are so many of these throughout the book. Not the entire book, but so many that you will be shocked. I mean, couldn't they even have just put the storyboard running down here, and then maybe a section from the graphic novel to show the comparison, or any sort of comments or text or insight or anything. So then you get pages like this as well, which have a lot of other images, but then they just cram them all in so small. So look at this page, has like 15 images, and it's just a stupid waste of space, and it gets worse as we go through the book. So you got some storyboards in a smaller thing, and then some sort of how the scene progressed from, I guess. Again, they've sort of like done this in, there's no rhyme or reason to how this is coming back, because surely that should be the first image, and I don't know. And then this is so tiny, and this is just an awful book. It's embarrassing. So yeah, I'm not sure if Dark Horse had to publish this because they had, or had the rights to publish this because they had published the graphic novel, but the fact that the sequel, what was it called? Rise of an Empire, 300 Rise of an Empire, it also had an art book which was published by Titan, who are a much better publisher for these sort of art books. Again, this stuff is pretty cool, but they've crammed so many small images into such a small amount of space when they have, so few pages and a lot of blank space that's being wasted, and then you have to cram them all in here, and things like this are great sort of behind the scenes insight, but it's just, I don't know what they were thinking. But yeah, like I was saying, Titan published the art book for 300 Rise of an Empire. So maybe that is a bit telling. And that book, the art book for that suffers from a lot of the same flaws that this book does. It is slightly better, but still, they didn't really do an amazing job with that one either, but it is a little bit better. So as you can see, the costume sketches are all small and crammed up the top. I mean, and look how much white they could have moved this stuff down and made the images slightly bigger or got rid of, crap like this, and we could have had all of those costumes in sort of a full size, and the layouts are very small too. So as for the text, there is not much, as you will see. It's actually not, the information is not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. It's just, look, there's hardly any, and I know this is an art book, but even still, it's sort of, you reading it, you feel it crying out for more text, because, like I said, what is there is actually pretty enjoyable. I liked it, but there's just not enough to make up for the rest of it. I just think this book is such a standout example of how you can have a movie that has, pretty great concept art, great visuals, great behind the scenes pictures, great text, and then completely falls on its face because the book was sort of designed and produced by idiots, I guess. I really like the immortals, but see, this art here could have been a lot bigger, and I would have just liked, because they're producing a lot of really cool stuff, because the actual images that they chose to include are really good, the sort of costumes, and then the prosthetics and the images, but they're all just the way it's laid out, the sizes that they chose. So I think my main gripe is just with pages like this, but like I say, I would have loved to. This is one of my favorite 2 pages. Just some, really fantastic artworks and really great behind the scenes pictures. And then, all these guys from, the people who make up Xerxes' armies from around the world, the ones from Africa and India and Mongolia, and then these sort of primitive guys who, I don't even really remember seeing in the film, but they look so cool, and this book would have been, a great place to sort of showcase that a lot more and talk about them, and it just doesn't do that. It's just so disappointing to see a book that could have been really, really fantastic, but instead ends up being one of the worst.